Hi, welcome to part three of how to create a New York subway entrance from low poly to the final texture, which I will cover in this next video. So what we're going to start off with here is I'm going to take all the pieces of the normal bake that I did and combine them to make the final normal, and then from there we'll go into the diffuse or color map creation, and then finally with the spec, and then finally in conclusion we'll combine them all, and I'm gonna put it in the engine we use at Digital Extremes. So here we go. I'm just opening up all the individual pieces. And what I'll do is I'll combine them into one file, as you can see here, to on my layers, and I'm just naming my folders: diffuse, spec, and normal. I've got my UV guides on top here, and what I'll do is use UV Snapshot in Maya, punch in the size, TGA, and then you open it, and this is what you get. I select color, I select the black, I invert, fill it with red, and shift, click, drag, and there are my guides that I'll use for my UVs. So what I'm going to do now is I just basically fix a normal where there's some anomalies. I just use a lot of marquee, Control T, which is scale, just to fix these little pieces. You're never going to get a perfect bake. You can see here that I goofed up a bit. I'm just penciling, select, and dragging over, painting into normal basically. I'll delete pieces here and there too, filling in with the 128, 128, 255 purple. I just marqueed what I just fixed below and copied it upwards. They're both the same, so it was easy to do. You can see here there were some pieces that just didn't work out very well. I'm just going to copy this. So basically you just want to go along here, and you just want to, sometimes you won't have the color going all the way up solid, and then you just paint that up to complete it. Here I'm just copying over the three little spindles. I only baked one because all three of them are the same. Same thing down here. It's missing a side, so I'm just going to paint that in, fade that out, erase, and then I just blur the edges there. And here I'm just going to copy this, layer via copy, move it up, scale it and skew it in to fit the right dimensions. Make a couple copies, overlay, makes it a little stronger. And I'll do the same thing up here. Excuse me. Just a quick way to fix some normal problems. Again, just painting this in, just blurring the edges with the blur tool. There we go. I just erased what I had on top there. Same problems, paint it over, just eyedropper, soften the edge of the brush, and paint it. So you can see here that some of the edges didn't go all the way through. Uh, this little decoration was a little big, so I just scaled it down, squatched it a bit to fit within the normal. Just blurring out the edges here a bit to soften them up. Scaling this over just to complete from one side to the next. Erase. A lot of the tools I use is just Control T, which is the scale tool, the scale modifier, or the transform tool, I should say. I just usually marquee a selection and then Control T, scale it over. I also just eyedrop a lot of these colors. You can usually just paint them in, and then use the blur tool to blur to kind of smudge the two colors together to get that softness a bake creates. Same thing here, just dragging over, Control T again, fill that in, blur. See, you can use the Control T, blur tool right there, select, Control T, blur it out, same thing. And also you can marquee something and make a new layer, which is Control J, and you make it an overlay. It just strengthens or accentuates the normal. Here I'm just erasing some things out to give them a sharper edge. After doing this a while, you'll know what to paint, what you can do, what you can cut out, what you can smudge. Um, the normal doesn't have to be 100% perfect. It needs to be close, but you can get away with some things. So what I did here is the process now when you have, several layers of normal maps that need to be combined into one. The old school way, back when I started about 9 years ago, was that you would just make it the layer an overlay layer. What was happening though is you were losing some detail in the because of the blue channel. So you always kind of had to paint stuff out or erase things, yada yada yada, and that was a bit of a nuisance when it came to doing bricks, overlaying bricks on top of things, etc. So what's been figured out over the past few years is that you still do the overlay, but what you do in the blue channel first is you change it. You Control L, get your levels out, and you change your levels to 127 in the blue channel, and you just hit enter, and you select overlay, and it does the same thing as overlay, but it lets all the detail through, and you don't lose anything. So to speed the process up here, I'm just creating an action, which shortcuts Alt F9, and I'm just recording all these steps. Control L, 127, and select overlay, and then I'll just put it to a hotkey so I can just fly through this. Just speeds things up. So I've created my overlay, my action, and I'm just going to select each layer as I go down here and hit it. And you can see the layers are popping through. Now I've got one big one. I'll select them all and Control E. So there's my normal map. Just going to open up my reference. Now I'm going to get going on the diffuse. I've got a couple images here to get the colors. What I'm going to do is basically start laying out the base colors. So I just eyedropped it off the reference. It's usually a pretty good way to go. So I just Alt backspace to fill one layer, and there we go. And then I've got my turned on my AO too, and I'll adjust the color underneath it just to try to get it closer to what's in the reference. That looks pretty good. I'll adjust it as I go through too. You're always adjusting things. I'm just naming my layer here, going to the next one, making the cement color, which is kind of a lighter black. Looks like it's just got some cement sidewalk dust on it. So I just lightening up my guides here so I can see them a little better. So I'm just going to marquee out where the cement is. Then I'll right click, layer via copy off the subway base layer, and I'll color it from there, and that's what I'll do for all the base colors. That way you maintain that original layer. So there we go, layer via copy, Control U brings up hue saturation, drag down the saturation, darkness. I don't want it completely black because black deadens everything. You just kind of want to like I said, it just adds a bit of richness to it. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to color the signs, the subway sign, the subway info sign, any of the signs on there. I'll just marquee here, just turn off the base color so I can see where the normal is baked. I'm just looking for the other sign here instead of zooming out. There we go. Again, turn that layer on, right click, layer via copy, name it signs, drop down the saturation, darken her up a bit. That's a good start. once you get overlays going on top of here, you might have to lighten, darken as you go along there. See that cement? I'm pretty sure I'm going to darken later on. So here's the TV. Notice that the AO's off a bit there too. I'll fix that up. But I'm just going to create layer via copy. The TV, depending on the depending on what your engine can do, you might add like a video in here instead of just like a texture. I'm just going to add a texture, maybe with an emissive map later on. So just trying to get kind of an LCD screen color going here. And now I'm just fixing up that little anomaly on my AO. Again, that Control T transform tool. Fantastic. So there we go. There's a little TV screen. Just saving up Photoshop here. Now I've got the light bulb. Again, just going to marquee this out. I probably will use an emissive map on this to kind of give it a glow in the when I get it in the engine. But it's up to your studio how that works out. How you would do lights and whatnot. So I'm just getting the color here. Let's give it like a kind of a yellow glow for now. Just Control J, make a new layer. Same thing. Normal map's a little off there. I'll fix that in a bit. Going up the sides there. I don't know what happened there. So I'm just going to open up some possible overlays for cement. Probably going to look for something that will kind of give it some grime, some wear and tear along the ground, so it actually looks like it's attached to something when you do put it on your street or your sidewalk. So I'm just going to rotate it here. When you get to Control T transform tool out there, you can actually when you rotate, hold down Shift and it locks it and goes on like 45-degree angles. So I just shrunk her down there too. Just Control drag. The tile's pretty good. So I'm just going to make a bunch of copies here. Oops, got the wrong file open there. Just Control J again, then V, the move tool, and I'll just shrink it down a bit there. It's not a big deal. Marquee that out. What I don't want, and I'll fix all these seams in body paint later on. So just drag, rotate. And actually, what I do here is that when you overlap it, it's gonna, there we go. Made another copy. Basically what I do is just get kind of an odd brush, kind of a scatter brush, drop down the opacity down to about 20% and just erase away. And you actually find that blends in layers together pretty easily. It's a quick way to fill in seams when you have something organic looking like this. It's a fast way of doing it. Especially when it's going to be an overlay, you're not even really going to notice if there's like, maybe some harsh outlines from the brush you're using. So I've actually copied the wrong file here. There we go. Again, Control J, and Control T to get to transform. Shift, rotate. We'll lock the degrees you're rotating on. Copy it down. Sorry about that, my messenger just popped on. And what I'll do is I'll select all these layers and I'll flatten them, and then I'll just marquee out what and delete what I don't need here, where I don't want it. we got it all flattened down. Now I'm just deleting what I don't need. Now I'm just erasing like I did before, 25%. Actually, we got that 75% now. I've noticed I got another seam there, so I'll just erase a bit. And the J tool, the Band-Aid tool, is a nice little feature and stuff like this. You don't want to use it too much because it messes with the. In the end, it doesn't actually clone it very well. So you only want to use it sparingly, and it'll cover up some seams pretty good, or it'll fix them. So I've just got a bit here that I still need to add some cement to. I'll just clone tool it, which is S. So like I said, once I hit this to overlay or soft light or hard light, something like that, you won't even really notice that some of this is repeated, or there might be a seam here and there. But if there is, I'll when I take it into body paint in a bit, I'll fix it right up. So I don't like how some of this looks. I'm just clone tooling it here and there. So there we go. So now I'm just going to go through the layer options, find one that I like that kind of works. So there we go. See, once I had found one that works, I realized that I had to darken the base color of the cement. Took that right down. And actually, what I'll do here is I'm just making a new layer. Find a little lighter color. I'm going to try this out. You see this sometimes where they'll have like a section at the bottom that they don't bother painting. It's more like the foundation color that you would see kind of along a house. Yeah, so I don't really like how that's working, so I'll leave it for now. Let's close that overlay. We've got another one here, some just kind of a generic cement. Make sure it's tileable. Drag it over. Just darken this bad boy up. And now I've just put it on overlay. Now it's just on normal again. It's back on overlay. Just going to drag it around and see how it actually looks. Sometimes overlay can be a bit harsh, so you want to switch it to soft light. Hard light is obviously the opposite, makes it even harsher. So soft light works for me. I'm just going to Control T it, slick it down. And then, yeah, that looks pretty good. Contrast it up a bit. There, just marqueed it out. Delete, close that one off. There's my reference, just taking a look at it. Yeah, not bad. So I'll close those overlays. I'm done with the cement for now. What I think I'll do now is let's go look for some other overlays that I got. My metal folder. I got this kind of colorful, messed up kind of looking one. This might add some interesting detail to the cement, like just some kind of wear and tear, some anomalies that maybe some damage was done to it when it was freshly painted by a passerby or whatnot. So I'm just going to lay it out here. I'll just erase the bits I don't like. Just on a low opacity, say 75%, 50%. And I'll do that. Like it adds kind of like the paint's faded or something else was sprayed up on it, and it's just kind of bleached the cement paint out over the years. Because again, you don't want to make anything that's brand spanking new. Doesn't look right in video games when you do that. It's actually harder to make something that doesn't have grime all over it and make it actually look realistic, I would say, than gramming it up Gears of War style. So again, I've just copied this this reference in here, this overlay, just adding it here and there on the cement, marking out chunks I don't want. And I'll continue doing this until I get just the right amount that I like. So I'm just saving my file here. You'll want to save often just in case your computer crashes or Photoshop freezes or something. You would hate to lose an hour work or half hour work. So I just got like a metal overlay here that I'm trying out because metal, as we all know, will when it's exposed to the elements, will discolor, will bleach out, with dirt and pollution and grime. So I overlaid that. That's adding some nice color variation, some subtleties going across it. I'm just marqueing out where I don't want it. And also what I'm doing is I've selected these parts on a sign, and I'm actually cloning. It's the same overlay, but what I'm doing is I'm breaking it up so it doesn't look like it's the same thing seamlessly over the metal and where the sign is. Um, you'll want to do that because grime wouldn't lay perfectly over everything. So you just want to break it up so it doesn't appear that, hey, look, this guy just dropped a whole overlay on top of this and did nothing to it. Just adds another layer of realism to it. That's all. So I just continue doing that, making sure it doesn't look like it's just continuous over the whole thing. Again, I'm just bringing it back in here, moving it around, make sure I get all the parts, all the metal parts. Using the marquee tool, which is M, and selecting out what I don't want to have what I don't want having over the overlay. Saving my file again. So yeah, as I go along here and I keep dragging these same pieces in, I select the layers and Control E, um, just so you don't get a 78 layers in your file. Um, a good organized PSD is a beautiful thing. Make sure try to name your layers as you go along too. If not, do it at the end, um, just so other people who might need to go into your file later on will can find what they're looking for. So I'm just adding a little bit of rust detail to the TV screen frame. There was a nice little detail in the reference. So I'm just looking for the right type of layer effect. I think I found it. Looks pretty good. Just adjusting the contrast a bit, erasing out some chunks here and there. Like I said, this brush has kind of a soft a softness to it and kind of a scattering effect to it. So if you drop the opacity down on it a bit, the hardness level drops down, so you can actually erase around things and it kind of blends it in. So there we go again, saving the file once again. Like I said, it's an important thing to keep saving. So I'm just naming my files here. If you have several grime layers, you might want to just name them grime, 01, 02, 03. You don't necessarily have to combine all of them, but ones with similar layer effects you might want to. So again, just using, trying to find another grime overlay here that might make this metal pop a bit more. Give it a good old New York City grimy kind of finish to it that you probably see in most New York games. Again, in video games, they always kind of up the griminess of an object about 1,000,000%. Sometimes it's a little much, but all depends on what you're doing. I'm liking it right now, so I'll just keep adding this grime to all the metal. Makes an object interesting if you do it right. So I realized I got another sign here that I was layer view copy from the subway base color. I'll drop the saturation right down because it's pretty black. Darkness, the lightness down into the minus area. Control U is the shortcut for hue saturation. You can also change these shortcuts. Photoshop allows you to do that. Like I got my contrast brightness menu box comes up with Control B. So just looking at my reference here. What I'm going to do now is just change the color here because these little poles actually have a silver top as opposed to the green. I guess you could even if you wanted to, you can make these lights too. It'd be a nice little effect. That kind of plastic frosted glass look. But I'll just keep them down to just a different color top. It'll be a metal. So I'm just saving my file again. File's getting kind of large here. So now what we're going to do is just basically apply it, making sure just checking it out, see how it looks. And now I'm going to do the signs. I'm going to start on the signs here. Got a little reference image that I'm going to look at. I've cut a chunk out and I've popped it in on my PSD here too. That I can use instead of going back and forth. So I just circle marqueed, chose a red, Control J to copy make a new layer, to make a duplicate layer. Hit the V button to get the move tool. Now I'm going to do the numbers that are on these low circles. Finding the right size. Not too crazy about the font, so I'll just go through some fonts here. Try to find the right one. I've got numerous fonts here, so I'll probably be able to find the pretty identical one. There we go. So I'll just adjust the color a bit on these letters, rasterize it, so I can marquee select and do whatever I want to it. And the good thing is the signs folder is underneath all the overlays, so it's actually giving a nice little grime effect on the lettering already. So I'm just typing in my subway stop information here. Opened up the character dialog box. Just getting the spacing right here. Trying to match it to the reference as much as possible. And just thinking maybe I can get away with rearranging this, make it look a little nicer. Because the reference I'm using, the sign is actually a little different than the one I built. So not happy with that. I'm gonna go into CG textures here, see if I can find something. Couldn't find anything there, so I went into Google. Found this bad boy that's laid out a little better. Google is your friend when it comes to finding reference. Google Images. CGTextures.com is a great one too. So I've got my sign. I kind of like a lot. I like this this little sign better. It's got a lot more information. We all know Broadway. It's got just some cool little details, like a little wheelchair symbol I can put on, different little logos, and it just fills the orientation, the measurements of my sign a little bit better. The proportion, that's the word I was looking for. So again, I've just opened up the character dialog box here. I already have my font, so that's easy enough. Just typing out the little symbols. I'm not from anywhere close to New York, so I have no idea what these symbols stand for, but I'll replicate them. Again, I'm just getting all my text layers here. I'll rasterize them all, which is you just right-click on your layer, and you'll get the little dialog box that you can select rasterize in. So there's my circles from before, from my original sign. Select those, shrink those down. Great thing is I can marquee and change the color too. So I'm just moving my FVS, situate them on the circles. Gotta change the color of these circles too. Sorry, to yellow, red, and blue. So just looking at the reference and just control U, adjusting the hue, match it as close as my eye can tell. I think that's pretty good. The F's off a little bit. Let's move that. So there's a green one too. That has a little wheelchair logo on it. I had that in my library, so I just opened up that. Just wand tooled. Just selected the magic wand and selected within it. And what I do is I just basically take the eraser, erase a bit of it. Just give it a little bit of wear and tear. It's a nice little touch if you make it look like it's been there a while. So I'm going to use this elevator one too. Just bringing in all the little logos I want to use. I'm not sure why I brought the wheelchair guy back in. I think I just realized that I've got him. So my wheelchair guy there. I like this one a little bit better. It's a little crisper. So just dragged over the circle again, copied it. It's going to make it the green that it was before. Fit that in a little bit better. These things are so tiny they, probably don't need them, but it's a nice little feature. So I'm realizing the escalator guy, it's just not going to work at the size it is. So I've just thrown him in the garbage, forgot about it. So what I'm doing now is selecting the brush. It's got a bit of noise to it. Control E to flatten all of it. Now I'm just erasing bits here and there, just fading it out here, right down to the black. Just that it just shows that it's been through, the elements basically. Just adds nice little realism, some nice realism to it, because these letters wouldn't be perfect anymore unless maybe they were brand new. They were painted that day, or that this subway entrance was erected that day. So just go along here with the erase brush. Sometimes what I do is I then select and make another layer, a duplicate layer, drop the opacity down on that, and then erase the one on top of it, so it gives this kind of faded look too. So there we go, just get rid of that reference. Got my sign. It's the exact same thing on the other side, so I will Control J, make a new layer, save it. There we go, saved it up. There, we got that in there. Oops, realized it's mirrored. So just rotate that again, Shift, Control T, and that locks the degrees that you can rotate at once. It's not a free rotate. So I'm just saving it again. So far it's looking pretty good, I think. You know, we haven't put too much time into it already, and we've got a decent looking subway station here. So now I'm going to do the side sign, the subway sign there. Go back to Google, see if we can find a better image of it to see what the detail is down at the bottom. The little logo, the little New York City Transit logo. Excuse me. So, not really finding anything here. Let's try something else. This is the thing. With finding reference, you're going to probably have to try different combinations of words. And hopefully you find something. Depending on how popular or obscure the object is that you're making, you might not find something, or you might find some really high quality pictures of it. So I found a little reference. It's not very good, so I'm just going to go off of what I see here. I might look again, see if I can find it, but I'll at least get started here with the subway. Just trying to get the right thickness to it. I think that's pretty damn close. I'm just going to adjust the space between the letters again. You want to, achieve a realism as much as you can. So by doing these little tweaks, you're really looking at achieving the look of the reference that you have, and that's the most important thing if you're trying to replicate something. So I got it here. I gotta make this little line going across here. Just marquee box. Line her up. It doesn't go all the way across, so excuse me. There we go. It's a little thick, so I'll just marquee again here. Delete a bit. It's looking pretty good. Maybe scale it out a bit. Got to zoom in there since it's a pretty tiny thing I'm scaling. Moving the subway in to line up correctly. Go in, find that overlay again. Just extending it. And this is all metal over here, so I'll just marquee, select what I want. I'm just going to clone tool it and fill this in. Got to make sure I get everything in there. So clone tool, nice and big. Just alt click somewhere and get a nice sample and just go to town. So I'll just marquee out what I don't need here. Select, delete. There's another layer of grime to it. Wasn't entirely happy before with what I had, so this is looking pretty good. Just naming it again. It's Grime 02. Not crazy about this. I was looking at it. I know I did it earlier on. Just gonna see it. Just saved it out here. Gonna check it in Maya. It's a little strong. I'm just gonna just clone that out. that little detail going along the bottom. Didn't like the way it looked. And you're gonna find once you'll try something and you'll realize it's not working later on, and you can just get rid of it just like that. That only took 15, 30 seconds to do. Marquee, clone tool, sample, and paint it out. So I couldn't find good enough reference to do this little New York City Transit logo, but I found a decent enough picture that I saw what it is. It's just basically a circle with NY um, cut out of it. So it's easy enough to reproduce by hand. So I just text tool, punched in NY, got the right size, select, control click on the layer and you select it, move it around. It's actually kind of big, so I gotta shrink the letters down, control select again, control click, select the layer. Yep, just taking a look at the reference, move that over. I'm actually gonna enlarge this again, control click, move the selection over, then delete. And there's a little New York City Transit logo. Just gonna add the type beside it, New York City Transit. Get the right size, get the right font. It's this Arial, good old default Arial. Looking at my reference again, looks pretty good. Probably just going to Control T, get the transform out here and squash it a bit. That's pretty good. Don't want to go all the way over. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. So I'll select all the layers, name them correctly. See, this is important. Now I know what these layers are. Control E, all of them. Type in the name of the layer. You may also want to create subfolder sets for overlays, different things like signs. If you had the TV could be its own folder. So I've just duplicated the subway layer. Now I'm just going to use that little trick that erase bits and pieces here and there. We're coming to the end of this first part of part 3. I guess first sub part, part A. I will be continuing this in just a few moments, and we'll continue with the diffuse map here, and we'll eventually get to the spec map. But we've got a good start already. Just erasing the subway signs a bit more, collapsing the layers, duplicate, rotate. Erase some more to make it unique so it's not the same on the exact same on both sides. So we're coming to the end here. But yeah, we're just erasing out things as we go here. So I'll just save this up.